to all our listeners, especially our ladies and those who may be suffering with some emotional disorder. In fact, I am Desrie J.K. Richards. In terms of my upbringing, family, and spiritual journey, and as I share, I trust that all of us, because I'll be listening and over, will be blessed and encouraged to trust God for healing. I'm the first of 7 children. Grew up in the rural village of Trumuka in an extended family where I heard my great-grandmother praying every morning. Later on, as a 5th form teen, I surrendered my life to Jesus. The journey was roller coaster, having to make firm decisions and have faith in God concerning study and later marriage. Through it all, God never gave up on me. I was eventually diagnosed with bipolar disorder. In case you don't know, that's a disorder that affects the brain or the mind. And as we proceed, it will become clearer. First, and my only born was 5 months old when I took ill. Diagnosed firstly with postpartum baby blues. It was easy to conclude that as he was just 5 months, as I said. As time elapsed, the diagnosis was updated to bipolarity, and it took other forms. But you know what? I didn't ask God, why me? Some very difficult moments were and continue to be. Folks would gossip, they would snub. A few regrettable experiences occurred when I spent time at our local mental health rehabilitation center. My most devastating experience would have been having to be locked away. And in many cases, not locked away because that was the reasonable thing to do, but locked away maybe because I talk so much, I must be punished. Then I continued to have misunderstandings of the nature of my illness, where some folks may think, okay, so you just playing tricks because I hear you all on the radio, nothing is wrong with you. And I will sit clearly at the front that I'm on medication, and I may very well have to be on medication for the rest of my life. My relationship with God, my faith in God has aided me in accepting my faith. I have actually reached the stage where I thank God for allowing me to be inflicted with this disease so I can advocate and even mentor those with similar experiences. God has given me the confidence, so I feel no way inferior to others with any other malady. I want to share 2 texts quickly. Hebrews 13:5, mainly the latter part of this text, where the Lord said, God said, never will I leave you, never will I forsake you. And that's from the New International Version. My deceased psychiatrist, Dr. Amory Morris Patterson, she gave me the second text, Isaiah 26:3, NIV 2. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. The cultural beliefs and practices, how would those have affected you? I want to just point 3 experiences quickly. 1, in a presentation, I was asked by a coordinator to encourage the listeners not to believe in obeah when their family members fell ill or when they fall ill. So that powerfully gave me the impression that there are a lot of folks who think that when you become mentally ill, that it has to do with obeah. Secondly, I visited a sick youth whose mother was convinced that someone had put obeah on her daughter, and she was not going to allow her to go to the mental health rehabilitation center. The young lady's dad eventually had to take her all by himself. Finally, before I was introduced to speak at a religious gathering, the leader first read the biblical account of the demon-possessed man in the New Testament. The belief in obeah and demon possession is strong in our society, but I'm thankful to God that my family, both immediate and extended, did not hold to such, or I probably will still have been very ill now. My admonition: be educated about mental illness. Those who are mentally ill are in no way inferior to others with other forms of illnesses. We must interact with those who suffer from mental illness. You will be motivated to the love that you get from them and to help them. I must interject this experience. Several years ago, when I think that would have been my first time at the Mental Health Rehabilitation Center, and I must say that I would have ended up there several times because I took myself off of the medication. So once I stay on my meds, I'm good. But mental health is not the same as physical health. So when you figure you're strong, you may not necessarily be strong up there in your head. And there was this lady who would constantly come and lie on my bed. She was so warm. Sometimes she even came closeless. But the love that emanated, and you could have judged that she herself needed to feel appreciated. I've heard several persons' testimonies of persons who are mentally ill and how loving they turn out to be, or how loving they were in the first case. Maybe because of the extra love that they became even more vulnerable. There's no need to be afraid of us. Only the very ill who are generally isolated can potentially harm you. For support. This came from family, friends, co-workers, church members, neighbors, you name it. I've had the support. The practices that helped me, worship and prayer. Numerous times when I'm sick, I don't have the desire to pray, but those who pray for me, my mother and church members and whoever else, but those prayers would have helped, and they continue to help. Regular exercise. Sometimes I'm not consistent as I ought to, but that definitely helps. Positive discourse. I tend to withdraw if I find that my associates are drifting to the negative. And of course, avoiding the negatives in all forms, not just in conversation. So if you are struggling, you are listening and you are struggling, because the amount of persons who are struggling with some form or magnitude of mental illness, it's startling. It's increasing, and this one is a kind of humorous. When I attended one of my appointments a couple of years ago, this lady who is, I would say, my comrade, and she shouted out when she saw the crowd at the clinic. She said, "Oh my, there's so much of crazy people." But the thing is, especially after COVID, the amount of persons who are affected in some way, whether it's bipolarity, is schizophrenia, or you just feeling a little down, whether it be mild, or it's occasional, or it's continuous, the amount of persons cannot be counted, will never be counted, not just locally, but across the globe. And as I wind down, if you are struggling, as I said, seek help. Find someone with whom you can confide. Visit a doctor early who may advise you to seek counseling, therapy, etc. If you are not ill but you wish to be of support to us, after seeking divine counsel, lovingly approach the individual. Approach us, become our friend, and the conversations and activities will naturally flow. The church can support by its involvement in the Possibilities Ministry and other similar ministries, seeing each member as equals. There's no ladder where someone's may figure, well, okay, I am superior because I am not mentally ill. And of course, use them in regular programming. My hope is that we have increased advocacy. Congratulations, Director Walker, for recognizing the importance of sharing this type of program. We have improved mental health from peace of mind and positive thinking, and hope in the earth made new. Finally, if you feel hopeless or misunderstood and you are in hiding, you are suffering all alone, look to our Heavenly Father, the giver of all good gifts. Keep on the sunny side.